You know, my mom being a published book author now definitely has a lot of fun perks. Book unrelated. That being said, if my mom wants to write a Legend of Zelda book, send it back in time, and then I have something throughout all of grade school as professional reading material, approved, consistently approved reading material. Don't worry, my mom's an author. You can see right here, she'll sign it. Sounds like a good plan to me. That being said, congrats to her and Chris Brown for publishing Understanding Self-Worth. You can find it on a lot of bookstore shelves and online. And I know she and him have been working really hard on that. And it's definitely, I'm a big advocate of pushing for self-worth. Something that the Legend of Zelda games, they push pretty well. The whole premise of Link being associated with courage. Pretty great. And also, that being said, I hardly had teachers that actually would turn away reading material. Honestly, the only time it got strict is when it was going to college level of do a report on educational writing, big educational publications, and there usually was a pretty filtered out list. Honestly, my school district was pretty awesome. I remember in 6th grade I remember bringing in the Metroid Prime Hunters guidebook and Nintendo Power issues, and my teacher, Miss Ashby Welter, she was awesome. I'm talking about, this was in 6th grade, they divided us up into 4 different reading classes. And this was the highest one, which was surprising to me because in 6th grade, my grades were just not good overall. So that was always funny that I was placed in the highest reading class. And it was funny kind of looking around and seeing the students that tended to already be in either higher up education classes, the highest of highest. And then I was there. And I was friends with some of those people. But yeah, it was cool that, you had basically a laid back teacher that lets you say, hey, you're reading, and also our library at the time had Nintendo Power. And that was cool. I actually liked that our school had Nintendo Power issues. They would renew subscriptions and stuff, so that was definitely really cool to see. The thing with self-worth is it's kind of it's a hard thing to, I think, master, and that book is really helpful because when it comes to confidence, there are often times where people overextend their confidence out of a drive of insecure projections, and then that stems into becoming arrogant. You have actions of arrogance. Ironically, I say actions because actions speak louder than words, but oftentimes with arrogant people, they like to boast about themselves a lot, talk highly of themselves, but at the end of the day, what you do is going to have the highest impact overall. Obviously your words are technically an action, but when it comes to arrogance, that oftentimes can be, a tell. Oftentimes people are trying to run away from something. They're scared to look weak. So how do you form a good form of natural confidence? And I always say, the good T-Hawk quote, humility is a virtue, being able to keep going, not fearing to lose. Pick yourself back up, keep at it, right? I think that's important because obviously it's important to have a good form and feeling of self-worth, because then on the opposite side, you start stemming into feelings of nihilism and worthlessness. So it's definitely, a pretty drastic spectrum, and you're trying to find that sweet spot in between. You don't want to overextend into arrogance, but you don't want to underextend and feel helpless and start stemming into, those feelings of worthless nihilism. And the power of presence is something that is a constant reminder to your worth. You go to the store and just getting in line, you're in front of someone, you're behind someone usually. And if you're not, you're often in front of a cashier. And if you're not in front of a cashier, you're in front of a camera, and that camera has to, analyze you at self-checkout to make sure, you're not stealing and stuff like that. Regardless, your presence is already making a difference. Your presence has power. I talk about Team Fortress 2 a lot, and not only do I think it's one of the best games ever made, but it's such a nice look into the psychology of human behavior. It's a team-based shooter game. And, you know, while on the surface people think, oh yeah, you shoot with guns and that's it, there's a lot to it because all 9 classes play a lot differently. And the fun part about that is all 9 classes are different experiences, all with the common goal of, you know, winning the objective, right? And specifically the heavy, you know, he's always been fun to play, and he is a constant reminder of the power of presence. It doesn't even matter if you just booted up the game for the first time or you've been playing since 2007. When you pick a character like Heavy, wherever you are, your presence is already having a lot of power. Because for players that know, Heavy, once he revs up his gun, he'll kill you in a few seconds. You know, there's obviously exceptions like Uber Charge and using a Dead Ringer, but in a nutshell, Heavy is known to spin up a minigun and kill a bunch of people in front of him pretty fast, especially at a mid-short range. He also has the highest health in the game. You know, he takes a bit to take down. He definitely, you know, his presence is so known that, you know, there's this joke that, it's not even a joke, but, you know, Heavy is kind of seen as like a raid boss, you know, in RPGs. Heavy is basically, he is like a walking boss battle. And so a lot of attention from players that know go to the Heavy, because if they don't handle him pretty fast, he'll take care of them pretty fast. Depends obviously on different contexts like skill expression and, you know, how people want to play the game. But at the end of the day, it's pretty great that by just picking this character, you're already altering the game state around you. But you can say that about all 9 classes. That's the fun part. With Scout, you're constantly running around and you can annoy opponents like snipers and soldiers, and they might, you know, stay away from their objectives just to try to fend you off. Your speed alone already makes, you know, a presence of itself. It makes a statement. Soldier is definitely a big class on roll compression. You know, rocket jump in, rocket jump out, help out your medic, help out your flank. While he mainly is centered towards the flank, his rocket, you know, the sounds of his rocket launchers alone is going to make a presence in the area. Pyro, by just being Pyro, spies that know probably are going to be a bit more cautious around you. And that being said, Pyro has a compression blast which can, you know, push back bombs and rockets and other projectiles. So experienced players that fight against Pyro players, they're often gauging and altering their rate of fire by you just existing. Engineer can put up buildings and he's the, you know, the motor engine of the team. If I hear a sentry gun, I'm already altering the way that I approach that area because I hear the sounds and I know that sentry guns are gonna kill me pretty fast, especially the level 2s and 3s if I'm not careful. His presence is already altering the game. He sets up a teleporter and now he's streamlining even more of his teammates, usually. I mean, you could have a team where they might not know to use the teleporter, but regardless, the teleporter now is an object that the opponents see, and its threat level is pretty high. The dispenser heals, gives ammo to your team, which might not be seen on the surface because obviously you're not getting kills. It's not showing up in the kill log. But just know that healing a bunch of your teammates and providing them ammunition, that goes a long way. Just that sheer existence of you putting down a dispenser drastically alters the game. Demo Man with his sticky bombs, one sticky bomb alone placed on the ground or on the wall dramatically alters how a lot of players interact with whatever area they're in. They're going to have to be careful. They're probably going to shoot down the sticky bomb if they know how to. And the players that don't, well, they might be gone in a few seconds. The sniper already dictates a lot of long-range play, and so his sightline control can often alter how opponents handle, you know, objective routes. It's why, you know, we talk about flanks, those, you know, in the alternate routes, being able to communicate with your team about where a sniper is. And that's the thing. Sniper might not even take one shot the whole game, but him just standing there makes a difference. Spy, when Spy's not there, he makes a difference. You can get one missed stab, and now the opposing team might have to think about, okay, when's that Spy coming back? You might have left the game already. But you know, that presence alone of being Spy can alter the psychology of how the opponents play. And then Medic, you know, once you build that Uber charge, you're invincible for quite a while. And so players that know that, oh, this is like the overall #1 target out of all classes. you're healing your team, and honestly, just existing means that you know, by having that kind of big target on your back, your other teammates know to kind of anchor around and protect you, and they know that your presence is gonna, you know, definitely magnetize a lot of direct fire coming your way. So there's a lot of interesting things by just picking anyone in this game, and how much by just existing it alters how other people play. But specifically, again, the heavy, by, you know, he's all about, you know, he's like the Zangief of the game, the grappler, right? He can play like T-Hawk too, be a bit more mobile. And with the heavy, by just being where you are, whether it's first on Badwater or on the final point of Gravel Pit as you're attacking, the, you know, new players and experienced players know that this big guy can kill them pretty fast. So you could be the worst heavy player on the planet, but your existence is already making a difference. And I want more people to realize that. This is outside of the game. This is in life. There's so many cases where people can look in the mirror, or they're just sitting down and they're not feeling good. They're thinking, what is my life? They're thinking, I'm worthless. They put these negative tapes on themselves, but they don't realize that, again, their presence alone, being online on Discord, playing Team Fortress 2 on Steam, these actions you do, these actions that don't take a lot of, you know, energy, they put a lot in the world, because by you playing Team Fortress 2, other people on your friends list can easily go, oh, that game is fun. Oh, how is that person doing? That's happened so many times where I will play a game on Steam and then it starts a conversation. Someone that I haven't talked to in a long time, whether I knew them through, you know, past jobs, whether I knew them through tournaments, whether I knew them through school. It's really cool. And again, all that was me clicking play on a game. So the next time you go to the store, you realize, oh, me just buying whole wheat noodles can make a big difference, because you might be inspiring the person behind you going, maybe I should try out whole wheat too. Not that non-whole wheat is bad. It's just, you know, in the case of, there's some people that might find the value of, you know, a healthy form of pasta. And I hope people realize that not only does your existence have meaning, but you bring power to wherever you are in your existence. You put a lot into the world. And, you know, being responsible with that is important. You can understand that, you know, there are people out there that like to say claims of like, oh, there's so many people here that are a waste of space. But it's more about, you should see the beauty of, by us being here, what kind of ripple effect that causes for others. At times it can be negative. You can have a negative ripple effect if you're being a negative person. Ironically, that negative effect can be positive for others that see almost a reflection. Your existence can help out someone else saying, I don't want to be like that. And then obviously, you know, we're hoping that you being negative, you know, usually winds down pretty fast, hopefully, and then you start going, maybe I shouldn't do that. Because again, by you existing, you're already putting something out in the world. And whether it's on Team Fortress 2, at the grocery store, or stuck in traffic, I hope that while you exist, you look around and you understand the beauty that this world offers, and that everyone's doing different things each day. But at the end of the day, being able to just sit back, relax, enjoy your life, and share with others that you have some form of happiness by just existing, I think there are others that will find that value and give it to others. That is the key to making for a better world. That is the key to having better self-worth. That is the key to helping for a better tomorrow. I love Mondays.